a little bit more, even just squeezing another launch or two every month, for example, that will go a long way to get the 170 launches this year. But then it could also happen the other way, just as we're seeing recently. Either the weather, vehicle issues or something could delay even one launch by 1 or 2 days. That's already quite a significant delay in terms of how many launches they will need, because you got to think about this. 170, it's more or less half of 365, which is the entirety of like the number of days in a year, which means you roughly need to launch every 2 days. If a mission delays by 1 or 2 days, you're talking about another launch or two that you are pushing out, essentially. So, for example, this mission was supposed to happen on Thursday, but here we are on Saturday, and it still hasn't launched, which means those 2 days could have been another launch, right? So these kinds of things are the stuff that they'll probably have to juggle around and have to essentially try to work around and be able to hit that 170 launch goal. Of course, always with safety in mind. We've seen them always, being like super duper paranoid, essentially about if something does not look great, they stand down, they delay for as long as they need to fix any issues, or wait for better weather, and things like that. But they always give it a try, which is what's important.
Give it the old college try, they say. Yep. We'll see what they end up hitting. And of course, I know we've speculated about that, flame trenches, things like that. So we'll see what the final number ends up being. But then again, it is only August. There's still plenty of launches to come. Here's one from Mechazilla. And Max, I'll throw this one to you. They're asking how Falcon Heavy side booster landings work now with landing zone 1 being no longer there. They use a drone ship. What's the plans for the future for landings back on land?
So they are actually planning on building brand new landing zones at now and also I don't think there's two, but at least one landing zone also at 39A. They may have boosters up if they want to recover side land. There is of course also the theoretical landing double drone ships out in the ocean, which is kind of wild when that takes up their drone usage for at least a week, especially for how far downrange they will have to be, and they can't how far downrange they will have to be, and they can't launch any drone ships in that time. They are building brand new landing zones. They are building brand new landing zones. We presume that is what they're going to be using. It would be interesting. It would be early in the morning. Forgive me. It would be interesting to see if they build one. It would be interesting to see if they build one or two zones together. So I can also building the boosters together, but I can also see them building one at each side. So we'll have to wait and see. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what they do for now. For single sticks, we'll definitely see what they do for now. But a reminder that is going to be ending as well. So for now, LZ2 alone. And for now, it's going to be LZ2 alone.
A tail of two cameras. A tail of two cameras, which are down closer to the port. It looks like it's raining closer to the port. Max weather-wise, what's it looking?
I'm not gonna lie. You have a mini heart attack. I'm not gonna lie. There's next to no clouds above our site, but there's next to no clouds many miles south of Canaveral, many miles south. But the forecast from the weather broadcasting was actually 60% of weather violations this morning. Although I think SpaceX is most confirmed, or at least said that they were forecasting a 35% chance of good weather, which in this case on screen is a 40% chance. So, which is honestly ironic because in the previous couple of days, the weather forecast was I think 80% on Thursday, and yesterday was around. I want to say it was around 50 or 60% favorable. And of course today, it's 60% unfavorable, and the weather is better this morning at least at this point than it has been really all week, because it has been a pretty crummy week in terms of weather and rainfall and storms, but we are at that time of year where hurricane season is going to be heating up here in the next couple of months, and weather in the atmosphere around here is going to be just a lot more crunch time when it comes to weather. Said that they were crunch time when it comes to weather. We are certainly thankful to see some clear weather with clear skies, at least over us here, clear skies, at least over us here at the which is honestly ironic, because on previous couple of days the weather forecast was I think 80% on Thursday, and yesterday was around.
That wasn't the main reason that
it was around 50 or 60% favorable, and of course today it's 60%.
Yeah, so the last launch attempt, like you said, so the last launch attempt, like you said, clearly this is weather. Thinking, clearly this is weather for such a long time, then phase 2 for such a long time, then they actually stood down for additional vehicles. We sort of saw like not uncommon when it's a first flight, not uncommon when it's a they'll notice something, they'll want to spend a bit of extra, they'll notice something on it, and that's one of the benefits of them on it, and that's one of the benefits of them reusing as much as they
the weather has been iffy
as much as they do.
Attempt that
so as we're looking to they delayed one day until Friday. One day until Friday. Timing wise,
what do we know about the last
timing wise, have Falcon vertical. Yeah, so the last launch vertical ahead of yesterday. Thinking, clearly this is weather because we were. So it seemed like they just needed for such a long time. It seemed like they just needed a bit more time on the vehicle. They actually stood down, work on the vehicle, going for it today. Now they are going for it today. We sort of saw like this is one of those where with the not uncommon when it's a first flight booster that they'll notice something, they'll want to spend a bit of extra time on it, and that's one of the benefits of them reusing
at this point
so many times as much as they do.
New boosters, they always tend to have some kind of,
as we're looking to
hiccup, shall we say?
They delayed one day until Friday, and so we were keeping a close eye on that timing-wise. And then they didn't have Falcon vertical ahead of the window yesterday.
So
it seemed like they just needed a bit more time to work on the vehicle, and now they are going for it today.
And we know that at least that clock could launch it because of SpaceX saying that could launch it. It is a clock that they actually have. It is a clock that they actually have. So when it enters on
rocket issues, but then again, it feels like we've seen that so many times.
The real one at this point hold in, or the real one to countdown also hold. Now it has continued countdown, but now it has a different countdown, but it's now a different lift-off time, so it enters different lift-off time, and then it resets to 9 reset to 9 Eastern time, right on the dot Eastern time, right on the dot 0 seconds essentially. So we are time, like more. So we still have time for just a minute or so. It's still today. SpaceX website is still within the window. Today, it's still within the window. And we know that at least
that clock in particular, because it is worth noting that it is a
SpaceX says that it is a clock that they actually have connected to the real one. So when
they sort of brought it down to right before the time. They sort of brought it down to right before the time where the decision's made in the late start, where they pushed it a bit, but then they have flexibility before that. But they have flexibility before that. They've got time to play with here. They've got time to play with here.
They pretty much just went reset. They pretty much just went to the middle of the window because it's about 7 minutes, right on the dot. It's about 0 seconds, 13 minutes. That's essentially what they did. And that's 13 minutes. What they did, no, 13 minutes, 14 time. It's still today.
It's fine.
It's still within the window.
It's fine.
So,
it's early.
There we go.
So we will continue to keep an eye on that. We will continue on the weather, keep an eye on everything going on today. Right now, they still have T0 going on, but right now the new T0 there is at 9:32. I love
they sort of brought it down to right before the time where the decision is made, where the fueling start, where they were locked in, and then they pushed it a bit, but they have flexibility before that point.
So there are a bunch of different areas that they have of concern,
kind of areas that they have of
they pretty
concern.
much just went
yes,
to the middle of the
primarily
window,
there is a
27 minutes.
Primarily there is a
radius
Space Force side and Canaveral Space Center side, and or if there is a lightning strike within that radius, a lightning strike within that radius, they lightning warning to a phase, which then dictates they cannot proceed. Which then dictates they cannot fuel the rocket or the countdown if that fuel the rocket or the countdown if that vehicle. They like to make that decision before they go. They like to make that decision before they go. In other launch providers also would, as well launch providers also So Falcon 9 is unique in that they load. Falcon 9 is unique in that they load LEO and possible moment fuel and the latest of the possible moment fuel can because of
it is worth
at the moment we have not heard any sort of weather. We have not heard any sort of weather in the KSC side. Here, at least on Pad 40 is pretty far north. Yeah, Pad 40 primarily there is a radius in close proximity, not really in close proximity and on the Kennedy Space Center side. Kind of deceiving because Cape is a lightning strike within that radius. That go into is a very both on the KSC side, which then dictates it is not deceiving on the Cape side. It is either fuel rocket or countdown. While we don't have any inclement weather, while we don't have any inclement weather with our eyeballs, they go into property obviously and launch 40 also the range well around. Falcon 9 is unique in that they load and go, but that is not too uncommon. That is not too uncommon in weather minute changes at times and can move around. We have not heard and can move around. Hoping it stays raining in the port. Hoping it stays raining in the port. And Pad 40 is pretty far north on the Canaveral Space Force Station. But it is not really in close proximity to the port.
As of right now,
it's kind of deceiving because the Cape is a very big piece of land, both on the KSC side and on the Cape side. It is deceivingly large. So
Kennedy Space Center.
While we don't have any inclement weather in our area, and at least from what we can see with our eyeballs around Cape 40, obviously the temperatures are showing a bit of rainfall
super chat just saying
hi for joining us. We appreciate that. Thank you for that is not too uncommon. Weather here changes in minutes at times and can move around rather quickly. So hoping it stays raining in the port and not
that
here.
support
That would be
also allows us to have all these cameras out for that support. Yeah, exactly. But it is worth noting as of right now there are no active Phase 1 lightning watches or Phase 2 lightning warnings.
Let's talk a little bit about look at that
in the area there. You can see there is that look at that cloud. You can kind of see a little ring around the pad almost of those dark clouds. You can kind of see a little ring around the pad almost of those dark clouds. Skies up in the corner.
Let me thank some people here. Jerwa, clear skies. There's your postcard. A $20 super chat. There's your postcard. Hello. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. Also,
I'm trying to be nice.
5 red team memberships.
I'm trying to be nice.
Thank you very, very much.
Let's talk a little bit about the Kuiper
JWJ
launches themselves. As pointed out, also is Kuiper Falcon 2. So that is pointed out. Second, it allows us to launch these cameras out for all these launches.
Supersonic retro propulsion saying which of the contract retro propulsion providers which of the contract payloads.
So you can see there is Alex.
Look at the cloud.
Well, right now ULA because they can fit 27 on Atlas.
The pad
so even if it 27 launch today, they will still have Falcon 9 launch today. They will still have launch fewer. You've got 27 Kuiper satellites. So you've got 27 Atlas and Kuiper Atlas 2 has 2 of those. And Kuiper Atlas 54 of them have 2 of those. And then here 54 of them, 24, and then Kuiper Falcon 1 you've got 24 carrying Kuiper Falcon 24. So that's 48 carrying. So it's still a little bit short. So that's 48 so it's still a little bit short, but yeah, right now, but Atlas the most, but yeah, right now is the most, the Kuiper satellites launches, the most being with Kuiper satellites 5. Now, well, right now, do expect though, because 5 now 27. We do expect though, even if Kuiper Falcon 9 launch today, another still have Kuiper mission in the next month. Kuiper satellites can be seen. You've got 27 ULA right now, and it may do with Kuiper Atlas 1 and Kuiper Atlas 2. Have 2 of those, maybe the first 54 of them, Vulcan, and right now the consensus is that got, based on right now the consensus is that scheduled to be like that from ULA. They may not do scheduled for Kuiper mission ULA. They may not do an Atlas Kuiper mission. That sort of time frame might be the case. Yeah, we don't know though. That sort of time frame might be the case. We don't know though. So we'll see what happens. Things are very fluid. Yeah, you can see that dispenser from the first. Yeah, Kuiper Falcon mission dispenser from the dispenser. No Kuiper Falcon mission not seen. Empty dispenser. No satellites. In good detail. At least it's like a grainy temperature video. This like the first Atlas with Kuiper from like the first Atlas Kuiper mission. We've not really seen the first satellites that well. Yeah, we've not really seen these satellites that well. But right now, the consensus is that I give you an extended answer on the movements and schedules and things like that from ULA. They may not do an Atlas Kuiper mission until maybe October.
Slight push in the window.
Exactly. That sort of time frame might be the case. We don't know though.
But yeah,
these things are very fluid.
We really have not seen much of these satellites. It's kind of surprising
how secretive it's been.
And it's assumed once again that
Kuiper Falcon mission. empty dispenser, no
deploy,
satellites.
we will
have not
see
seen
any views of the
at least
satellites as well.
in good detail these satellites. There's like a grainy picture
I'm
video
excited to see it
from
fly
like the
on
first
Vulcan,
Atlas
but I mean, there's
Kuiper
still
mission.
There's still
But
another
other than
Vulcan flight first though before this.
We've not really seen these satellites.
Kuiper has a deadline to meet too, right?
But yeah, that's. I give you an extended
in
answer,
order
as usually,
to have the allocation for the communication bands, they need to get, I forget the exact number, but they need to get a lot of satellites up, and it's looking like that will be a tight target. But like you said,
really
speaking
have not seen much of these satellites. It's kind of
like
surprising
Vulcan,
how secretive it's been, and it's assumed
this
once
coming
again
week
on this
we
flight,
have a Vulcan VC4 flight
we will not
that's
see any views of the
USSF
satellites
106
as well.
So that's currently targeting for Tuesday evening around the 8 p.m.
But I mean, there's
time,
still
and
there's still another Vulcan flight.
Max is over here bouncing in his seat. It's going to be an exciting launch.
To meet too, right?
Seeing new vehicles come online.
So
Vulcan
in order to
have the allocation for the communication bands, getting more flights here. I forget the exact number. It's great. They need to get a lot of satellites. Alex, do you remember the exact number? That will be a tight deadline for those. But like you said, speaking of like
the
Vulcan,
exact number, no, I know it's more
this
than
coming week we have a Vulcan VC4
double
flight.
That. So
that's
the
USSF 106.
There you go.
So that's
the whole deal with the
currently
deadline
targeting
is that you need
for
to launch
Tuesday evening around the 8 p.m.
that you have been
time,
for
and
in like 5 years.
I mean, Max is over here bouncing in his seat. It's going to be an exciting launch. We love
that means by
seeing
the
new
end
vehicles
of
come
July
online. Vulcan has flown
5 years later,
2 times.
They should have
now,
had
and
the half of the constellation already
here.
in orbit.
It's great to see
However,
new vehicles. And Alex, do you remember the exact number and exact date
more than 1,600
deadline for those
you said
Kuiper sets?
1,618?
Yep.
The exact number,
okay.
no, so 1,618 satellites. I know it's like by the end of July 2026. Double that. So there's also the added. There you go. So the whole deal with the deadline is that you need to launch the full constellation of the constellation that you have been approved for. That's like a rule that a lot of people don't talk about. They got approved. So the older 1,618 satellites need to be launched over the next following 2 years, July 2026, which 5 years later is. They should have had the I don't even think they'll be able to do it in 2 years, let alone 1 year until that essentially entails the first 1,600 half constellation deadline. Would you say 1,600? So we'll see what will happen, but
all right, team,
maybe they're gonna need an extension.
Tasks are still gonna be on Bullfrog.
Yeah, and I mean, they have plenty of rocket options to launch.
Make sure you track your time on
rocket
Fireplace.
options are
then
either
ping me on
not,
SmackDown.
Guys,
we
don't
going
need any of those
at their
anymore.
current
We have ClickUp.
pace
Where do we
or
chat?
not launched at all yet.
What about managing projects?
On customer missions with Ariane
ClickUp.
6
AI.
scheduled to fly some, and then of course
how do we
New
get Adam's
Glenn
dog to stop
scheduled to fly
I'm not really sure
lot.
about that one, but
And,
for everything else, we have ClickUp.
right now, not launching at this moment, you'll see
They'd
is
be
a
able
hold
to do
in
it in 2
account that
years,
does
let
not
alone
mean
1
that they are
year
not going
until
today. It is
essentially
just a hold.
the first half
So
constellation deadline.
They have time left in
so
the
we'll see what
window,
will happen, but
and we will see where
maybe
they
they're
go
gonna
from
need
here.
an extension.
But it looks like we have.
Yeah, and I mean, they have
T0
plenty of rocket
at the end
options
of
to
the
launch
window
it.
now
It's
that
just
I'm
those
seeing rocket options are either not.
No, that's just
going
it's
at
the
their
clock
current
holding.
pace or have not
no,
launched
now.
at all yet. Yeah, on customer missions.
Okay, I just
with
saw
Ariane
fresh
6,
starts,
and it's
scheduled
scheduled to fly
again.
some, and then of course New
Yeah,
Glenn
it's counting
scheduled
again.
to fly a lot.
Right at the end of the window,
And,
9:45
right
Eastern
now,
time.
not launching at this moment, you'll see is a
they're
hold in the count that does not mean that they are not going today. It is just a hold. But
So,
they have time
Max,
left
weather-wise,
in the window.
still okay
and
where you are
we will
over at
see
the
where they
press
go from
site?
here.
At least
it
from
looks
what the
like
Mark
we
1
have,
eyeballs are telling
a new
me,
T0
yes, still
Alex,
plenty of
at the end
sunshine.
of the
Obviously,
window
you
now
can
that
see
I'm
all the
seeing?
clouds in the background there. That is all out over the Atlantic at
No,
the
that's
moment
just,
and is not posing
it's the
any
clock
immediate
holding.
threat.
No, it is
now.
At least from
Yeah.
what we can see, there
Okay,
may be
I just
something
saw
that
it.
SpaceX is watching, and that
It's
maybe some
counting
of that is
again.
coming in this direction,
Yeah,
or there
it's
is
counting
something
again.
in the flight path,
Right at the end of the window,
or there is some
9:45
very
Eastern
high
time.
swells or just unfavorable weather in the LZ or the landing zone
they're
out in the
pushing,
Atlantic,
they're trying.
which could also be something to watch for, because obviously that they don't want to lose
but,
a brand new booster,
yeah,
especially
Max,
a booster
weatherwise
as critical
still
as a Falcon Heavy
okay
center
where
core
you
on its
are over
first
at the
flight.
press site?
So at least from what the Mark 1 eyeballs are doesn't telling fill me me with a lot of
still
confidence,
plenty of
though,
sunshine.
to
Obviously,
push the
you
end
can
of
see
the
all the
window
clouds in the
already.
background there.
That is
Granted,
all out over the
it was only
at the moment,
27
and is
minute
not
window, so it's not like we are going to be here for 4 or 5 hours.
like we otherwise at least from what we can see. There may be something that SpaceX is watching, and that maybe some of that but we don't exactly have there is good idea of what could be primarily or there is some other than very high swells the weather that you were seeing unfavorable weather in the LZ, which I think is supposed to be out in the Atlantic, which could also be something to watch for, because obviously they don't want to lose a brand new booster, especially at least from a booster as critical as a Falcon Heavy center core on its first flight. So
yeah, I'm sure there's other weather constraints or things that we can't see,
though,
we're not aware of.
To the end of the window already.
It looks fine.
Granted, it was only a 27-minute window, so
it is worth noting that system that
hours,
is over the port
like
is
we
moving
otherwise
north.
Sometimes can. But,
so there's actually a radar outage
from
but we don't some of the nearby ones. So the detail isn't quite there, but it is moving north from the port area over the Space Force Station. So perhaps by the time they
LC-36,
we're getting to T0 and the actual launch window opening,
at least from
those were going to be of concern. So that's why they're moving to the end of the window here. But
yeah,
perhaps
I'm
that
sure
gives it time for the system to
constraints or
move
things that we
through
can't
and
see
clear the
that we're
area.
not aware of. But
if that's moving north, that's
fine.
coming directly at us. That doesn't feel
keep an
good.
eye on
So I'm watching the radar now.
It is worth noting that system that is over the port is moving north.
It's something
so
we're obviously
there's actually a radar
outage
from some of the nearby ones. So the detail isn't quite there, but it is moving north from the port area over the Space Force Station. So perhaps by the time they
begin the poll,
we're getting to T0 and the actual launch window opening,
right?
Those were going to be of concern. So that's why they're moving to the end of the window here. But perhaps that gives it time for the system to move through and clear the area.
The final point is essentially that roughly 38 minutes or so.
I'm watching the radar now.
Yeah.
The whole reason for that is because at T-minus 37 minutes, that's when they vent the tanks ahead of propellant load, and then the propellant load starts at T-minus 35. So usually if they need to delay for whatever reason into the window, they try to wait until, before the end of the poll to do that.
Begin the poll.
Obviously, because the poll can then say also like, okay, we are no-go, right? Right? That can also happen.
Which it seems like has been happening so far this morning. But there was an interesting question that I'll throw to you, Alex, from Jacob saying, why is this launch window for Kuiper launches shorter than the ones for Starlink?
Roughly 38 minutes or so. Well, the whole reason for that is because at T-minus 37 minutes, Kuiper, that's when they vent the tanks ahead of propellant load to put in, and then the propellant load the way that they want to put it in orbit. So usually, if they need to delay for whatever reason into the window, they try to management is probably a very complicated thing, before the end of the does it their own way, right? Obviously, because the Starlink missions, they do have also like window. Okay, we are no go, right? They don't launch at any point in the window. They have now
these seems like has been happening so far this morning,
which seem to be sort of like
an interesting question that I'll throw to you, Alex, from Jacob saying, why is this launch window for Kuiper launches shorter than the ones for Starlink launches?
But it's sort of when they want to launch within the window, they have these different opportunities. It's not like they have Amazon available opportunity every the way that they want to put it in orbit. That for our window, right? I cannot tell you exactly because and so that's very common. Satellite management windows like that very complicated. You normally don't have company does it from a flight software perspective. It will be too many data points. They do have if you had our window launch opportunity every single second. They don't launch just 1 hour. It's 3,600 They have now these sub windows 3,600 different sort of like trajectories that you will need to load on the rocket and within the window that they software and everything is super good. Optimal for what? I have no idea. All of that and making sure that it's the optimal one. It's sort of when they normally launch with launch operators. If you have different opportunities, it's not like either they have targeting like every second opportunity, targeting every minute, for example. So that's for our window, right? 60 fewer times, I guess. And so that's very common when you have you target like optimal. You normally don't have in that window, and that's what from a flight software perspective for Starlink. Too many data points. Again, having if you have now one launch sort of sub window every single second is partition just 1 hour in 3,600 seconds, right? And that's sort of probably how they go around that. Trajectories that you will need to load on the rocket and things like that. Does only and software and everything is super I have no idea. Why was it 25? Having to go through all of that and making sure that it's the optimal one and all that. Like, and then on Thursday was launch operators. If you have a long window, I have no idea. But it probably is down to something like that. Every second you may be targeting every minute, for example. Eventually, it's 60 we always say times, I guess, right? Blame orbital mechanics. Or we had a joke. Optimal, I think it was on the Crew 11 in that window, and that's what it's like. You can pinpoint for any of these decisions usually. Again, having every now and then. Because they probably want to have it in a partition of the big window into smaller ones. Maybe they want to spread out the satellites in a certain way. That's probably how they go. So they only have this amount of why Kuiper does only 27 minutes. It's just 27 minutes. Why was it 25? And then another day is 25. It was supposed to have been a 25 minute window. It's probably down to that. And then on Thursday was again 27 minutes. So we can just I have no idea, but it probably is down to something like that.
Also interesting note in terms of payload deployment.
Eventually,
we're used to seeing
as we always
with SpaceX
say,
basically one maneuver and all the satellites spread their way out.
I think it was on the Crew 11 mission
Kuiper,
where it was like you can pinpoint
has a
any of these decisions usually to orbital mechanics
that it goes
because they probably want to have it in a certain orbital plane. Maybe they want to spread out the satellites in a certain way, and so they only have this amount of also deployed higher in this window than the Starlinks. Like it's just 27 minutes one day, and then another day is 25, and they take a while to get to a higher orbit. We don't sometimes know exactly, they take we can just only speculate 4 or 5
also interesting of note in terms of payload deployment. We're used to seeing with SpaceX basically one maneuver and all the satellites spread their way out, as opposed to Kuiper. Is there a record for the longest time has a 7.5 minute due to weather, etc., before being launched that it goes through? So it's not feels like the same Artemis kind of just jumps out at me. Basically release tension and off they go. Yeah, exactly.
They also deployed any shuttle missions that
than the Starlinks. There were shuttle missions that were out there for months, but they also had a rotating service structure to protect them.
They take a while to get to a higher orbit.
Just there.
Sometimes they take like a
the same.
4 or 5
I don't have an exact number on that, but Max, it feels like it was Artemis.
As they get checked out at different altitudes.
It was out there for a while, and it also ended up rolling out 4 separate times out of High Bay 3 in the vehicle assembly building here at KSC. I don't have an exact time frame of how long it was out there, but it was supposed to launch in August of 2022, and it didn't end up launching until November, like mid-November of 2022. Artemis 1. Obviously, it wasn't out there for that entire time, but it was outside for quite a bit, and actually the mobile launcher was out at the pad for about a year afterwards, getting repairs and making sure that teams on the ground knew what to do, what to do with it in High Bay 3 before it was made ready to receive the solid rocket boosters and core stage, and also ended up rolling out 4 separate times out of High Bay 3 in the vehicle assembly building here at KSC. I don't have an exact time of how long it was out there, but it was supposed to launch in August of 2022, and it didn't end up launching until November, like mid-November of 2022. So
it's so sad.
Obviously, it wasn't out there for that entire time, but it was outside for quite a bit. And actually, the mobile launcher was out at the pad for about a year afterwards, getting repairs and making sure that on the ground knew what to do with it in High Bay 3 before it was made ready to receive the solid rocket boosters and core stage, and of course the Orion spacecraft. To be fair, it's made to do that. The ML, I think, probably has the record there just because they had nothing else to do with it. Like they obviously have their own reasons at a launch pad to keep it there. The actual SLS rocket for Artemis 1, I think, may take the cake on that one. Potato.
I'm really sad, Max, that you just said that about the mobile launcher.
I'm on Team Max with this one.
Why?
Because I'm sure
stood
the
out
Falcon
there,
9
stayed out there under everything. It didn't have to roll back until it rolled back the rocket again.
But it goes back and forth.
It's been out there for a while.
But it goes back and forth, and it has stuff to do.
But it only stays on the hangar for rocket integration, which, to be fair, lately it takes like hours. So
yeah, but to be fair, it's made to do that. Like it's not like it's out there just because they had nothing else to do with it. Like obviously they have their own reasons to keep it there.
Okay.
Have you been sitting on a smart business idea and need to get it online? GoDaddy makes it fast and easy with user-friendly products and tools
that one stood
to help
out
you
there,
on your entrepreneurial journey.
It didn't have to roll back.
Get AI to help build your business for you with the all-new GoDaddy Aero experience. Start for free at GoDaddy.com.
Ooh, the transport director has done the same.
Well, you say that assuming it wasn't rolled back into the hangar to avoid any
it did
any of the weather.
deal with the hurricane.
Well,
out there
the one at 39A, we know that it wasn't because we saw it. The transport director has done the same. At least the one at 39A. I don't know about the one
you
at
say that
340,
assuming it wasn't rolled back into the hangar to avoid any of the weather.
Well, the one at 39A,
Put
we
some
know
salt and
that it
pepper on it,
wasn't
like on your
because
salad,
we saw
and
it.
we'll be fine.
It was out there. At least the one at 39A. I don't know about the one at 340,
It was a whole debate this
the one at
morning,
39A was definitely out there when it happened.
It's what these late nights and early mornings do to
Put
us,
some salt
folks.
and pepper on it, like on your salad, and we'll be fine. While we're in that kind of mood now, Westy the Third coming in with the
It was a whole
20
debate
curly
this
L's
morning,
here,
folks, about
saying
wanna know.
it's been a while. Remind
these
me
late
again,
nights
what are the
and-
four towers
and
for?
early
Wrong
mornings do to us,
answers
folks.
only. Much love to all the NSF
while
family.
we're in that kind of mood
Max
now,
and
Westy
D
the Third
fan
coming
club.
in
with the 20 curly
Trampoline.
L's here. Saying
Okay.
it's been a while. Remind me again,
Alex,
what are
wrong
the four
answers
towers for? Wrong answers only. Much
I
love
always
to
say
all
the
the
same.
NSF
They are
family. Hashtag
coolness
Max and D
attractors or
fan
something
club.
like that. I don't know.
Trampoline.
I'm trying to come up with a different one. Let's see. I'm gonna go with
Okay.
Alex,
Barbecue
wrong
skewers.
answers only. For
Barbecue
extra large
skewers.
meat.
I always say the same. They are
Barbecue- that's
coolness
a new one. I haven't heard that
attractors
one
or something
before.
like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with something different. It's like you want
the
different one.
kebabs?
Let's see.
There
I'm
you
gonna go
go. You
with
got a
barbecue
Cooked
skewers
by lightning.
for
Barbecue.
extra large
It
meat.
is possible.
Yeah,
Barbecue.
I saw someone on a
I
YouTube
haven't heard
video
that one before.
try it.
Can't
Yeah, I
remember
was
what
trying
it
to
was,
come
but
up with something
anyway.
different. It's like you want kebabs? There you go. You got
Let's
a kebab.
see.
Turtle Sanctuary
Cooked by
saying if you
lightning.
take the M in mild and turn it
It is
upside down.
possible.
That's wild. Yeah, I saw
Just like
someone
this
on a
stream.
YouTube video
Oh,
try it.
yes,
I can't remember who it was. But anyway, talking about those four towers, what
Let's
are they
see.
for? They are for wearing on
Turtle
T-shirts.
Sanctuary
saying if you take the M in mild and turn it upside down, we have that four towers.
That's wild.
shirt. Just like this absolute favorite,
Oh,
the fact
yes,
that it has a pun on it, and the
talking
lightning.
about
those four
Florida.
towers, what are they for? They are for
Yeah,
wearing on
so.
T-shirts.
Definitely check that.
NASASpaceflight.com.
It's one of my favorite
We have
shirts
that four
I own.
towers shirt.
Shocking.
My
We're talking about us
absolute
again.
favorite, the
Shocking.
fact that it has a pun on it, and the lightning is from Florida.
See, I can never know if you're reading
Yeah,
a pun or
so.
if you're just being you.
Definitely
and in
check
that case,
that
you're just
out.
reading the shirt.
It's one of my favorite shirts I own. I'll take that as a
We're talking
compliment.
about us again. Shocking.
And then
See, I can never
a
know
name
if
we
you're
see
reading a
out at the
pun or
Cape
if you're
here,
just
Michael
being you.
Seeley coming
And
in
in
with
that
the
case, you're
$20
just reading
super
the
chat
shirt.
saying
And
you
I
all
just didn't
equals
realize
cool,
it.
but I think we can agree the
I'll take that as a
photographers
compliment.
equal the coolest. He's a fellow photographer.
No, no, Mike,
and then,
you are the
A
man.
name we see out at
You
the Cape
equals
here,
the man.
Michael Seeley
Yeah.
coming in with the $20 super chat
So
saying
who's
you
cooler,
all equals
Jack or
cool,
Max?
but I
We'll
think
go
we
with Mike
can
Seeley.
agree the photographers equal the coolest.
I second
Sorry,
that.
man, fellow photographer.
No, Mike,
Anyway.
you are the man.
About
You equals the
42
man.
Yeah.
minutes to
Yeah.
go here.
So who's
Hopefully
cooler,
we'll
Jack
get
or Max?
word
We'll go with
on
Mike Seeley.
them proceeding with tanking.
I second that.
D, can you kind of walk us through the timeline of what we're expecting
Anyway.
at least now? Assuming all continues. 42 minutes.
Absolutely.
to
So
go here.
around
Hopefully
the
we'll get
38-minute mark,
on
that is when the
them
launch director
proceeding
should
with
verify
tanking.
the go for
D,
propellant
can you kind of
load.
walk us through the
And then
timeline
just
of
a few
what we're
minutes later,
expecting
at
least now?
35
Assuming
minutes
all
to launch,
continues?
that's when they actually will Absolutely. start that So propellant around loading. the So they'll start 38-minute mark, the that is when the RP1 launch director
both
should
the
verify and second the stage go as well for as the propellant liquid load. oxygen. And then for just a the few minutes first later, stage at 35 That'll minutes continue to for a launch. while until
That's
we
when
get
they
to
actually will
around
start that
the
propellant
T
loading.
minus
So they'll start
20-minute
with
mark.
the
Then
RP1
the famous
for both
20-minute
first
event
and
second
stage.
stage,
That
as
is
well as
prepping
the
sort of the
liquid
infrastructure,
oxygen
the
for
plumbing,
everything
first
stage
to
only.
start the
That'll
liquid
continue for a
oxygen
while
loading on
until
the
the second stage
around
cool
the
everything down.
T
Minus 20-minute
At
mark
that
when
point,
we will
it's
see the
a
famous
lot closer to
20-minute
launch.
event. At 16 minutes, that's when they actually
prepping
start
sort
that
of the
liquid oxygen
infrastructure, the plumbing,
loading for the
everything
second stage
to start
and the liquid oxygen
things progress
loading
rapidly
on the
once you get
second
into the
stage.
last few
Cool everything
minutes
down.
of launch, including the engine
At that
sequence
point,
start.
it's
At
3
a lot
seconds to
closer
lift
launch.
off, and
At
then
16 minutes, that's when they
lift off
actually
to
start
start that liquid oxygen loading for the second
Hopefully
stage.
that will be
and
happening in about
Things progress
30
rapidly
minutes.
once you get into the
Fingers
last
crossed,
few
weather
minutes of launch,
crossed,
including the engine
everything
sequence start
crossed, I guess.
at 3 seconds to lift off, and then, of course, lift off
Let's
itself.
see. Here's one from David Prado. Hopefully that will
Alex,
be happening
with
in
all the
about
stat sheets
40
and everything.
minutes. Has there been a
Fingers crossed,
reduction in
weather
launches from
crossed.
39A? It seems like
Everything
everything
crossed,
crossed, I guess, has had most launches in the past few months.
note it's actually had more launches so far at this time of the year
Alex, with
than last
all
year.
the stat sheets and everything.
Sort of
Has there been a
around the same time
reduction
of the
in
year.
launches from
So,
39A? Since
yes, it is used
has had most launches
less
in the
than
past few
Slick
months.
40. But compared to last year,
it's
it's actually had more launches so far. It's got more launches so far than last year. I would in fact expect around the same time to of the see year even more launches this year. Like last year, yes, it did 26 by the end of the year of 2024. But compared to last year, it's actually done 17, so it's got more launches so far. 9 more launches, and it's already. I would in fact expect at least achieving the same number of launches this year. Like last year, it did 26. I certainly by the end of the year of 2024 for that pad. Right now, it's already done 17. So I think it only needs 9. Like just 9 more launches. Month alone, there's at least another one, or at least achieving the same number of launches mission and the last year. And I certainly expect more than 9 launches remaining for that pad. That's like another 8 for what launches of the year. I think September, like just October, this November, December, month alone, there's at least another one with the USSF 36 mission and the X-37B, and even more than that for just faceplane. So it's just not that's like another 8 launches because it's a launch pad. September, October, November, December. Essentially, you can average of 2 Falcon Heavy launches, Starship construction as well, and even more than that from just 39A. Normally, it's just even though it might not make too much sense because it's a launch pad that you can from a straightaway Dragon point of view. You can do Falcon when you look at it carefully construction as well. You want a pad, and so that launches sort of the scraps, even though it might I know it's a very bad way of talking about it, but from a straightaway sort of point of view. Launch pad like Slick 40. When you look at it carefully, all of those launches and just keeps doing record turnarounds that launches, and then all of the other launches that need a lot of preparation. I know it's a very bad way of talking about things like that, but you want a launch those from 39A launch pad like Slick 40 not worry about those and all of those launches and just 39A keeps doing record turnarounds, and then all of the other launches last year, it's still a much higher cadence than pad changes and things like that. They have slowed down at all. Those from 39A. It's less used than Slick 40, but that's being a thing. And yes, that means 39A forever will have a lower cadence in both. But compared to last year, it's still a much higher cadence.
So you're saying at least 9 times?
It's not like they have slowed down at all. It's just 9 more times and then Slick 40, but that's being a thing. But it's true.
9 times.
Since pretty much forever. That's one of the things that allows them to be able to launch that often because again,
so you can use the one pad that we're seeing here
to do that rapid cadence. 9 more times and they get there. More, but it's true.
9 times.
Picky missions, the ones that need that's one of the things that more work, allows them to be able to launch that often. You can go from 39A. You can use the one pad that we're seeing 2 missions to do that rapid cadence, and then all of the more then you can also have them from Slick 40, more care, for example, with like crew missions, for example, which they can go from 39A crew mission. And when you have 2 missions from 39A, but now that they have the crew access arm and tower at pad 40, they can do those from there. You can also have them from in that case. They had a Falcon Heavy, for example, with an interplanetary mission at 39A, which was a crew mission. 39A is the only one that can normally those go from 39A. So the crew mission had to go from crew access arm and tower. In that case, there was also a long, they can do those stand down and everything. And in that case, they had a pad and all that with an interplanetary mission at 39A. Every 39A is the only one that can launch Falcon Heavy. So the crew mission had to go from SpaceX and their cadence at 40. In that case, there was also a long,
and we even have the next ISS resupply mission, CRS-33, set to launch currently from Pad 40 as well.
Yep, every X number of months.
Those have tended to launch from 39A
SpaceX and their
recent
cadence
times.
at Slick 40.
Right, and we even have the
now what they're doing
next
is because
ISS
they have the
resupply mission,
X-37B
CRS-33,
apparently for
set
some
to launch
reason they want to
currently
launch
from
that from
Pad 40
39A.
as well.
Yep.
So
then the CRS mission will be going.
Have tended to
Slick
launch
40.
from 39A in recent times. Yeah, it's the X-37B is very
now
secretive.
what they're doing is because they
I'm
have
sure
the
there's a reason
X-37B
for
launch.
it, but if we found out
for
they would
some
have
reason
to,
they want to launch that from 39A.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
The CRS
you know
mission will be going from Slick 40.
If I told you, I'd have to anyway. Yeah, the X-37B is very secretive. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but if we found out, they would have to. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Saying, here's to SpaceX getting this beauty off the ground today. I told you I'd have to anyway. And so I can see it as I'm driving to show a home with a client. $50 super chat. Hi, Bideford, dude. Well, hopefully the weather holds. You can see there the clouds. Looking actually pretty nice at the moment. Getting this beauty off the ground today. Thank you, weather. As always. And so I can see it as I'm driving to show a home to a client. Ooh. Well, hopefully the weather holds. Jasper K. The clouds. We're already arguing semantics about things here. So fingers crossed for that. And Viper,
Max,
thank
will
you,
this be
as
the first
always,
successful
for the
landing of a
support.
Falcon
Really
Heavy Center core?
appreciate it.
Technically, no.
Let's see,
Either way,
Jasper
because
K
they
is-
landed.
We're already arguing semantics
what was
about
it?
things here.
Oh gosh, what was Falcon
Max,
Heavy
will this
second
be
mission
the
again?
first successful
XTP2,
landing
was
of
it?
a Falcon
That
Heavy
was the third
Center
one.
core?
Arabsat 6A.
Arabsat 6A. They landed Arabsat 6A.
lost it.
As we've seen, unfortunately, too many times over the last couple of years. Falcon Heavy second mission again.
STP2,
Either way,
was it?
no. That was the third one. It will be the first. Arabsat 6A. They landed Arabsat Heavy, converted to Falcon 9, and unfortunately, it took over and they lost it. As we've seen, unfortunately, too many times over the last couple of years as well. But
this is also the
either way,
first
no.
one
But
that
it will be the first as
will
a Falcon
attempt
9
that at all.
or
So
Falcon
that's part of
Heavy
it.
converted to Falcon 9 single stick configuration, Falcon Heavy center core.
At this
as much
point
of a
now, we are
mouthful as it is.
under the 35-minute mark. The clock continuing
this
to
is
count.
also the
which
first
we will keep
one
an eye
that
out on the rocket
actually
now because
will
we
attempt
should
that at all.
hopefully be
So that's
getting
part of it.
into propellant load. It might be a
At
little
this point now,
difficult
we are
to see
under
though with
the
this being a new
35-minute
booster.
mark.
The clock
Normally the
continuing to
soot
count
kind of helps make the
which,
frost
we'll
a
keep
little
an eye
more
out
visible
on the
on
rocket
this. So
now
we'll see.
because
we'll
we
have
should
to look a little
hopefully be
extra
getting
close,
into
keep an eye out
propellant
on
load.
Frost Watch.
It might be a
with us
little
as
difficult
well.
to see though with this being a new
Honestly, though,
booster.
Sawyer, given how
normally
humid
the
it
soot
is, we
kinda helps
may
make the
be
frost
seeing the
a
vapor
little
coming
more
off of one
visible
side
on
of the
this,
tank
so we'll
or not.
see.
A lot
we'll have to
easier. I
look a
mean,
little
it is
extra
pretty
close,
backlit as
keep
well.
an
That
eye
is why
out
Falcon
on,
9 is kind of
Frost
dark at the
Watch
moment on screen.
with us as
The
well.
sun is pretty well behind it.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, Sawyer, given how
vapor
humid it is,
should see
we
coming off the
may
tank
be
should
seeing
be
the vapor coming off of
pretty
one side of the
visible,
tank
even though
or not. It is kind
a
of
lot
a
easier.
silhouette. It is pretty backlit as well. That is why Falcon 9 is kind of dark at the moment on screen. May be tricky to see, but we should be finding that behind it in just a couple of minutes. I think vapor we should see coming off the tank should be pretty visible, even though it is kind of a silhouette.
Even though
at the moment.
It's wide and yes, the frost.
But the frost itself may be tricky to see. But we should be finding that out hopefully in just a couple of minutes. Whether
be
or
sort
not
of
the count
like
is
a
going to
chameleon, I
proceed
guess.
or
It
not.
will just blend with.
I was going to
the
say
white of the
pretty much
booster and all that.
there's still
Even
the
though
vapors, right?
it's wide and
yes,
yes,
when
the
it's
frost,
humid like today,
will essentially
they're probably going to be
rather visible.
be sort of like a chameleon, I guess.
Oxygen starts touching the walls of the tank. We should be in under a minute and all that.
So there's still the
If
vapors, right?
they have gone into
and
propel
when
mode,
it's
which
humid
we
like
believe
today,
they have,
they're
the
probably
SpaceX
going to be
clock
rather
is still
visible.
running. So
As soon as
we'll have to wait and see.
that liquid oxygen starts touching the walls
will
of the
wait
tank,
and see
we should be in
with
under a
bated
minute from
breath.
now. So if they have gone into propel mode, which we
As we
believe they
continue
have,
to look at the
because
booster,
the
there's
SpaceX
also a question
clock
here
is
from
still running,
ResistoJet
so
about the fairings.
we'll
Alex,
have
I'll
to
throw
wait and
that one
see.
to you. Are the fairings on this
We will
Falcon
wait
9 new,
and
like the
see
booster,
if
or have they
bated
flown
breath.
before?
oh, they are absolutely not new. So
As we continue to look at
one's,
the booster, there's also a
we're
question here from
seeing here,
ResistoJet
some
about
of the
the
stats for
fairings.
today,
Alex,
and
I'll
you
throw
can
that one
see
to
at the
you.
bottom
Are the
the fairing
fairings on this
halves.
Falcon
So
9
it's
new,
serial
like the
number
booster, or have they flown before?
220 flying for a
Oh, they are
fifth
absolutely
time.
not
That is the
new.
one that is
So
closest to the
this
Stromberg.
one's
It's the passive
we're
half, and
seeing
then
here,
the other
some
one
of the stats
is serial
for today,
number
and you can
155.
see at the bottom,
launching on its
the
28th
fairing halves,
flight,
so
and
it
it's
is serial
the other
number
half, the one that is sort of facing
220
away
flying for
from
a
the
fifth
Stromberg,
time.
the active
That
side.
is the one that is
The only
closest
reason
to the
why they're
Stromberg
called
passive and active
is because
half,
one of them
and then
has
the other one
the
is serial
pusher
number 155
system, the
launching on
the
its
pressurization
28th
system and the
flight,
pushers
and
and everything.
the other half
to do the
one that is
the
sort of facing
separation
away
of the two
from the
halves.
Stromberg, the
That is the
active
one that is
side.
sort of facing
The only
away
reason
from
why
the
they're called
Stromberg,
passive and
that is
active
the
is because
active
one of them
fairing half
has
the one that is
the,
passive does not
pusher
have that hardware
system,
and because it
the
is also
pressurization
next to
system
the
and the pushers
Stromberg,
and
it also
everything,
has
to
a
do
quick
the
disconnect
the separation
for
of
air
the two
conditioning
halves.
and things
That
like
is the
that
one that
for
is
the
sort of
satellite
facing
board.
away from the
So,
Stromberg,
yeah.
and that is the active
28
fairing
on
half.
one half,
The one
and
that is
5
passive does not have
on
that
the other.
hardware,
That will be
and because it is also
33
next to the
launches.
Stromberg, it also has
Between
a
both.
quick
Once
disconnect
this mission is complete,
for air conditioning and
Once it's
things like
complete,
that for
which
the
we
satellites
are-
board. So
It
yeah.
looks like starting to
28
see
on one
some
half and
vapor
5
forming
on the other. That will
rocket
be
Max with the Mark II
33
eyeball, the Mark
launches.
1 eyeballs.
between
Mark II
both.
as well.
Once this mission is complete,
You're
of
seeing
course.
frost out there? Once
Yeah,
it's complete,
unfortunately,
which
the Mark IIs have not come out yet,
it
but
looks
I'll
like
let you know
starting
whenever
to
they do. But
see some
yeah, it
vapor
does look like we are
forming
seeing a bit of
on
frost
the
now on the
rocket
bottom
Max
of
with the
Falcon
Mark
9's
II eyeball,
liquid
the Mark I
oxygen tank,
eyeballs,
which is a very good
I think
sign.
Mark II as well.
At
You're
least in
seeing
terms of the
frost out
countdown.
there?
There is still still some rain. Unfortunately, the Mark IIs have not come out yet, but the launch pad as well. Whenever they do. So we are keeping an eye on that. Yeah, it does look like you're seeing a bit of frost now on the bottom. We are always in flux here in terms of how things go. A very good sign, especially with the weather at this time of year. In terms of the countdown, there is still some rain coming to us here at the press site. Again, probably trying to get Falcon off the ground in just about a half hour. Keeping an eye on that. It is
that is what we
are always in flux here in terms of how things go, especially with the weather at this time of year. But at the moment, SpaceX is at least confident
to get some
in getting or trying to get Falcon 9 off the ground in just about a half hour.
Psycho coming in with this is an interesting question. Hoping for. But how this is at least a good sign. Ariane 60 despite all the heat haze, it looks like as KA is we're starting to get some fueling here. I don't think any of us know. Psycho coming in with this is an interesting question. Unless they call how it K6. How will the Kuiper launches on Ariane 60
I've got the joke
design
that it's probably going to be KG.
KA is taken
because
by Atlas.
That's kilogram and it's a metric rocket.
I don't think any of us know, do we? We'll have to see what they end up going with.
I know it doesn't make sense to G, right? But I've got the joke that it's probably going to be KG because that's kilogram.
Well, along those lines, I'm going to throw this one to you, D.
Anyways.
There's a couple of vehicles that it's scheduled to launch on, so, I mean,
I know it doesn't make sense to G, right?
More launches are we going to see, do you think? And will this actually rival Starlink? Well, along those lines, I'm going to throw this one to you,
Starlink's been launching for
there's a couple
quite
of vehicles
a while
that it's scheduled
now,
to launch on, so... I mean,
how many it'll be a while
more
until
launches are we going to see?
Have a
do you
chance
think?
At rivaling Starlink. But yeah, like you said, everything from Vulcan, Starlink's been launching for Falcon, quite a while now. So Ariane 6 until it'll be a while. Until they sort of took the spitball approach of rivaling Starlink. But yeah, like you said,
everything as much
everything
as possible.
From Vulcan, that certainly makes sense. Unlike Falcon, Starlink, which is closely tied Ariane 6, SpaceX, like they sort of Amazon took the spitball approach doesn't have a rocket that they can launch on everything. Use, so they might as well go with everything. See what works. Like that certainly makes sense. Unlike now, it's worth Starlink, noting actually the way in which SpaceX Kuiper started to launch on Falcon Amazon is a bit interesting. Have a rocket that they can necessarily expect, so they might as well go with everything. These Kuiper Falcon like missions because it was now it's worth noting actually the way in which that they were started to launch on Falcon. Why aren't we launching on Falcon 9? The most launched necessarily expecting many of regular Kuiper Falcon missions. And why are we going with it was other options through Amazon's that are investors potentially more expensive or they were delayed or hold on a variety of things. So Amazon Falcon 9 the most launched rocket, of course that close relationship with like regularly launching and proving itself. But and why are we going with they are other options that are just launching with whatever rockets delayed or get a ride to space. A variety of things. So Amazon does have, of course, that close relationship with like Blue Origin through Jeff Bezos.
People have here because I saw a question earlier on talking about
just launching with whatever rockets they can to get a ride to space.
Not necessarily Amazon per se,
and
but
that's another misconception I think
that people have here. Kind of like how SpaceX earlier on talking about hopefully that Blue Origin buying these launches. This is not subsidiary necessarily Amazon per se, but it is am I saying that clearly?
Yeah, it's just like Starlink. Starlink is technically so SpaceX is Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, and then in the case of Starlink, the brand Starlink is under the company called Space Exploration Technologies. Starlink is technically so, and so SpaceX is it's a different sort of company technically within corporation. SpaceX and then so the same case of Starlink with Amazon, where you have the brand Starlink is under the company sort of called separate Space Exploration Technologies Holdings. So yeah, it's a subsidiary of Amazon. It's a different. There's also a lot of people always saying, New Glenn SpaceX itself rocket. So the same thing is happening with, for example, with Amazon, where you have Amazon does not have its own rocket, separate entity. But you go on the internet and you may see some folks. So yeah, it's a subsidiary saying that because New Glenn is from there's also a lot of people always saying, is also owned by Jeff Bezos, and Amazon is also owned by Jeff Bezos. So you mentioned that Amazon does not have its own rocket. But you go on the internet and you may see quite far from the truth, saying that because if anything, you could say that from Blue Origin, and Blue Origin is also probably the other way around. But anyways, Amazon is also the whole deal with this is that therefore Amazon, it's the Amazon rocket, just wants to have as more chances as they can, to be able to launch all of this. And if anything, you could say that multiple it's different. Probably the other way around. Attached to this Falcon 9, SpaceX. The whole deal with this is that don't want to be Amazon on any other just people, wants to have as more chances as they can. Pretty much everything to launch all of making their own engines, and so that's why they have to other companies asking for engines, different rockets, or making their own rockets instead of having some other company making the tanks, and then they don't put everything together and things like that. Like on any that's their whole thing. You've seen this. So the whole reason pretty much everything, including like making their own engines instead of much because going to all the companies asking for engines, these things, or making their own rockets instead of having some other company making the tanks, and then even though you might put everything together and things like that. Like that's their whole thing. An Amazon rocket. So the whole reason why Starlink is not launched on other rockets is pretty much because that way SpaceX can just control
they're just so
these things
closely
on their
associated. And when we see pictures of the fairing rolling out for this, some people might think rolling out in a building that says Amazon rocket. It's not. It could be confusing.
It's a Blue Origin rocket.
Yeah, I guess they're just so
John,
closely associated.
And PadRat member,
we see pictures of the fairing rolling out for this, and we see it rolling out in a building that says Amazon.
A couple people asking about some other vehicles, so I want to take
some of those questions here real quick. First, asking will we be covering the Crew 10 splashdown? We will not member. Very typically only cover events where we have cameras out at them. So
not for this particular
couple
one.
People asking about some other vehicles, so I want to take some of those questions.
We have the cameras
here
from
real quick.
Our ISS camera partner.
First, asking will we be covering the Crew 10 splashdown?
Asking,
we will not.
Oh boy,
we
this is a
typically
dangerous
cover
topic,
events,
but
Max, I'll throw it to you as a
not for this particular one.
Will Dream Chaser ever be launched? So we had the cameras from SEN.
Will it ever be launched?
ISS
Absolutely.
Partner.
Just a matter of when. We were all hoping it was going to be end of last year, and then we were all really looking forward to it flying this year, and even that's a big question mark at the moment.
Thought experiment here.
But it will fly.
Will Dream Chaser ever be launched?
Dream Chaser and Sierra Space
will it ever
be launched?
Absolutely.
Because Dream Chaser, when we were all hoping it was going to be end of last year, and they need to get it right. And then we were all really looking forward to it flying this year, and even that's a big question mark at the moment. But it will fly.
Yeah,
it's just
when
Dream Chaser and Sierra Space need to be fully ready because Dream Chaser required a lot of investment and they need to get it right.
Actually fly to the ISS because it does have an
ISS
cargo resupply contract as part of the third round. When I was at the Crew 11 post-launch press conference, I was asking them about basically plans for maybe finally seeing it, and they're going to support their progress. Fly to the ISS. So hopefully, we see it soon. ISS cargo resupply contract. Something as part of the third round of contractors, shuttle landing facility that isn't a super secretive spy plane. And they basically said they're working on it. Right now, they're going to support their progress. From space that lands on it is the X-37B. I cannot wait to see they really something say, hey, it's going to be coming down. You can come shuttle landing facility that isn't a super secretive spy plane. Here's one from Brian. Right now, the only vehicle from space that lands on it is the X-37B. This booster could be used for something really like the Griffin say, hey, it's going to be coming down. Land and be reused in single stick and or back to Falcon Heavy configuration. Alex, here's one from Brian.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those missions that they mentioned
this
that
booster could be used for something like the
sweet
Griffin
spot
mission,
where you probably
then
wouldn't
land and be
like,
reused in single stick
a Falcon
or
9
back to
expendable
Falcon Heavy
will
configuration.
probably not be able to launch it, but a Falcon Heavy with RTLS, the side boosters. That's one of those coming back at the Cape, they mentioned that the center core landing on a drone ship will be able to do that. Where you probably so you could recover all three boosters and still launch it. A Falcon 9 to the moon, and so we'll probably not be able to launch it. This booster but a Falcon Heavy is going to be the center core RTLS, for that mission. The side boosters we'll figure it out coming back at the Cape, and then the center core landing on a drone ship will be able to do that. Dream Chaser, so you could recover all three boosters. Was supposed to happen at the end of last year. Then it delayed and so a bit more. Because maybe this booster is going to be the center core for that mission. Issues that you encounter when you're developing we'll figure it out whenever we get this, right? But that's also another one. I would not be surprised if it delays. Like Dream Chaser, that's being delayed a bit. It was supposed to happen at the end of last year. Then it delayed a bit more because of Peregrine and everything. If they landed, absolutely. Issues that you encounter when you're developing a new lunar lander, I guess, right? But let's see more reused. I would not be surprised if it delays into next year.
Any reused center cores at this point.
But then do you think they would maybe try and reuse
this one? So a reminder, this is
if they landed, absolutely, they
Falcon
may
Heavy
just do
single
that.
stick configuration.
Let's see more reused center cores. I don't agree
any
with that.
reused center cores at this point. Yeah, which hopefully we will see with this one.
Yeah, because every single
reminder,
Falcon 9, it's already a single stick.
And
I had yesterday, not yesterday, the other way,
Falcon
the
Heavy
other day on
single
Thursday,
stick configuration.
I had this whole rant about it. You know, any Falcon 9 booster can be turned into a side booster for Falcon Heavy. Which means every single Falcon 9 it's already a single stick. And I had a single stick, not yesterday, the other way, one core variant on Thursday. I had this whole rant about it. You know, any Falcon 9 booster can be turned into a side booster for Falcon Heavy. Which means any Falcon 9, it's already
side cores could
a
fly
single
as
stick,
Falcon
a single
9s,
stick Falcon Heavy,
but
so
center cores
one core
couldn't.
variant or whatever.
Right now, this Falcon 9 center core is set to fly in 20 minutes and 20 seconds, which means it is time for the best vent. But for the longest time, it was, side cores could fly as Falcon 9s,
why do we see the
center
best
cores
vents?
couldn't. But right now, this
So
Falcon
this
9
is sort of a
core
purge
is
and
set to
cool
fly
down of
in
the
20
line
minutes and
in
20
order
seconds,
to
which means
prepare
it
for
is
that
time for
second
the
stage
best
liquid oxygen
vent.
loading.
And
We
there
talk about it
is
with engines,
right
how you
on time.
you do a cooldown
why do we
sequence.
see
You don't
the
want
best
to go
vents?
from something that's in the 80,
this
90
is
degree
sort of a
temperature of the air
and
down
cool
to
down
the
of the
freezing
lines in order
cryogenic
to
temperatures
prepare for
of
that
liquid
second
oxygen
stage liquid
in a
oxygen
snap, 'cause
loading. Then
we talk about it
things might
with
snap.
engines, how you so this
you
is
do
a purge of the lines sequence. You don't want to go from something that's in the
begin
80,
that
90
loading,
degree
which will
temperature of the air
at
down
the
to the
T-minus
freezing
16-minute
cryogenic
mark.
temperatures of liquid oxygen in a snap,
And
because
that is what we like to see. That
things might
means they are
snap.
continuing with the
So
propellant
this is
load.
a purge
and
of the
reminder,
lines, a cooldown
once
of the
they-
lines, and
holy rain
preparation
bands there.
to begin that
Yeah, I
loading,
was
which
just
will
saying.
happen at the
Hopefully
T-minus
that's in the water.
16-minute mark.
It is. It is, but it looks like all of that
And
is
that
beginning
is what we
to
like
come
to see.
this
That
way,
means they are
unfortunately. And it looks
continuing
like
with the propellant load.
we may
and a
be
reminder,
getting wet
once
here
they-
in just a few
holy
minutes here
rain
at the press
bands
site,
there.
but we are keeping our eyes
Yeah, I
open
was
and
just
our
saying.
heads on a swivel.
Hopefully
Yeah.
that's in the water.
It
looks
is.
so
It
eerie
is,
with
but
the-
it looks like all
the
that
pad
is
right there,
beginning
but
to come
again,
this way, unfortunately. And it looks
distances
like
can be deceiving.
we may be
and
getting
of course,
wet
it's a
here
little
in
harder to
just
tell
a
with
few
the
minutes here at the press site, but
main
we are keeping
weather
our
radar
eyes
dish
open
out
and
there
our heads
kind of
on
not
a
working
swivel.
properly, but it looks so
We'll see.
eerie with the
about
pad right
18 and a
there.
half
But
minutes, hopefully
again,
we will see the launch
distances can be
of
deceiving.
24
And of course, it's a little harder to tell
Kuiper
with the
internet
satellites
satellites
weather radar dish out there,
on
kind
the
of not working
Kuiper
properly,
Falcon 2
but
mission.
again, these are
We'll see.
somewhat competitive.
In
They are
about
competitive.
18 and a half
excuse me, to
minutes, hopefully
Starlinks,
we
but
will
slightly
see the
different.
launch
This
of
constellation
24
is set to
Kuiper internet
hopefully be in
satellites.
operation shortly.
On the
They need to
Kuiper
have over
Falcon
1,600
2
satellites
mission.
in operation,
These
though,
are
by
somewhat
mid next
competitive.
year.
They are
to be able
competitive,
to meet
excuse me,
a
to Starlinks,
but slightly different.
deadline to be able to use
This constellation
the
is
bandwidth
set to
hopefully
boy,
be
my
in
brain just stopped
operation
working halfway through that
shortly.
sentence. Hopefully that
They
made
need
sense
to
today.
have
over 1,600 satellites in
18
operation,
minutes to
though,
go here.
by
Of course,
mid
this
next
one we
year
are
to
hinting
be able
at
to
it, but
meet
is a very unique
booster, and
deadline
that
to
this
be able to
is
use
a
bandwidth
Falcon Heavy
for it.
center core that is
Boy, my
set
brain
to
just
now
stopped
be
working
used
halfway through
as
that
a
sentence.
Falcon
Hopefully that
9
made
single
sense
stick
today.
for the time being, and
18
this
minutes
is
to go here.
of course, this one
time
we were
for that.
hinting at it, but is a
Also,
very
someone
unique
pointing out in
booster
chat
in
that
this
John Edwards
is calling this a single
Falcon
stick
Heavy
configuration
center core,
Alex, that is set to now be used as
Yeah, I
a
mean, it's
Falcon
a-
9 single stick for the time
It
being.
is. He
and
says,
this is a first
It is in
time
fact
for
a
that.
Falcon Heavy center core that
Also,
will
someone
fly in a
pointing out
single
in
stick
chat that
configuration
John
a handful of
Edwards
times
calling this a
before being
single stick
reconfigured and flying as a Falcon
configuration.
Heavy.
Alex,
That is true. Yeah,
Just
I mean,
like a Falcon Heavy
John
side
Edwards
core
can also fly
It
in a
is.
single
He
stick
says,
configuration. It is in fact a Falcon Heavy
Instead
center
of,
core that
being
will
attached
fly
to
in
a
a single
Falcon
stick
Heavy center
configuration
core.
a handful of times before
Dead
being
in ground
reconfigured
here,
and
right?
flying as a Falcon Heavy. That is true.
Just
Yeah,
like a
it's-
Falcon
it's
Heavy
just
side core
meaning that is
can
flying
also
a
fly
Falcon 9
in a single stick
configuration.
configuration. Instead of being attached to a Falcon Heavy center core.
someone.
Another point that I'm
This
making,
too, I
right?
dare even joke. Can they static fire in the rain?
Yeah, it's
Well,
it's just
actually,
meaning that is
probably.
flying on Falcon 9 configuration. That's all.
yeah. Oh, pause! My God.
Boy. Whoa!
Someone. Whoa!
Oh,
Do I dare even joke?
My
Can
God.
they static fire in the rain?
that was you.
Well, actually,
Probably. No, that was you just now.
No, no.
no, you know.
Yeah. No,
Pause! My God.
Whoa!
And if you don't know, what have you been missing?
Whoa!
Oh, yeah. My
Yeah,
God.
fair point.
Probably
Rip,
the
if that was you.
fastest way to get me out
No,
of
that
bed.
was you just now.
No.
You know. Also, fastest way to get the payload.
No, you.
And if you don't know, what have you been missing? It opened in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, fair point. Yep.
That's true. Fastest.
If only there was payloads on board, they would have deployed as well. Anyway, also fastest way to get the payload. His dispenser door open. Getting back to
it opened in the blink of an eye.
This is more of a structural question. So, Alex, if only there was payloads on board, they would have deployed as well. Heliosphere physics and spaceflight asking, as the center core Falcons are structurally strengthened compared to regular Falcon 9 boosters, getting back does it have additional questions here as a result less payload to orbit? This is more of a structural question. So, Alex,
it does have a bit of payload performance penalty, I guess.
Physics and spaceflight asking,
but you got to remember that
I have had it with trying to organize all my tasks,
because the Falcon 9 first stages earlier, right? It doesn't go into orbit, which means all of the mass that you add to it, it's not going to be
visualize
a
and manage
one-to-one
work
relationship
my way,
to
and
how
collaborate
much
on
mass you're
documents
losing
with my team.
in terms of performance to orbit.
Now with
It does
ClickUp, all my work
become
is finally in
one
one
on
place.
the second stage, because
Get
the second
ClickUp
stage
today.
obviously goes into orbit. So whatever kilogram or pound or whatever unit is not going to be used, you add a one-to-one relationship then to how much mass you're losing in terms of performance to orbit. It does, but on the first stage, the ratio is actually in the second stage, because the second stage obviously goes into orbit. 10 kilograms or 10 pounds or whatever, you only lose 1 kilogram or 1 pound you add to that second stage. So you could add sort of the penalty that you get in terms of dry mass to the first stage. But on the first stage, the ratio is actually closer to like 1 to 10, which is if you add 10 kilograms not
or
a lot,
10 pounds
to be fair,
or
compared to what
you only
Falcon 9
lose 1
kilogram or 1
I'm pretty
pound
sure that the
of
reinforcements
payload
only
to
add
orbit.
a
So you
couple
could
of tons,
add maybe
1 ton
3
of
dry mass to the
at
first
maximum.
stage. So that is probably closer to like 300, 400 kilograms or so,
maybe,
which is a bit more considerable,
not
to
a
be fair,
lot, to be fair,
but
compared to
still,
what Falcon 9 can do.
I'm pretty
It's
sure
not
that the
that
reinforcements
huge.
only
They
add
can
a
take
couple
that.
of tons, maybe
Plenty.
3. This is not even close
at
to
maximum.
the
So
maximum
that is probably
performance
closer
that
to
you
like
need for
300,
Falcon 9.
400
It's,
kilograms, maybe.
I think it's under
which is
16,000
a
kilograms.
bit more considerable,
and they've
to be fair.
launched
But still,
17,000,
it's
more than 17,000 kilograms.
It's not that huge.
Yeah, looking here,
they can take that.
it will be
It's
13,700
this is not
kilograms
even close to
for
the
these 24
to the maximum performance that they need for Falcon 9.
Definitely well under.
I think it's under
16,000 kilograms. So, and they've launched
So
17,000,
to answer Jeremy
more
B's
than
question then,
17,000
so no
kilograms.
hashtag
Yeah,
stubby
I'm
nozzle?
looking here. It will be 13,700 kilograms for these 24
Yes, Jeremy
Kuiper satellites.
mentioned it
So
in
yeah,
chat. No stubby
definitely
nozzle
well
on this
under
one.
the maximum performance.
Again, needing all of that extra performance.
so
To answer Jeremy
especially
B's
for
question then,
these,
so no hashtag stubby
satellite
nozzle missions where they want to try and pack as many in as possible.
No,
Is that
I
what he
wouldn't
said,
expect
stubby?
that.
Yes, Jeremy
So,
mentioned it in chat.
From the
No
field's
stubby nozzle on
perspective,
this
sorry,
one.
I just wanted to hop in here because we
Again,
have been
needing
keeping
all
a
of that
very close
extra
eye on the
performance,
clouds
especially
and
for
on
these
the radar, and we're
satellite
seeing lots
missions
of
where they want to
clouds
try and pack as
sort
many
of
as possible.
develop around us. So,
Go
from
ahead,
the
Nate.
field's
But looking at the
perspective, sorry, I
radar,
just wanted to hop in here because
I've been
we have
seeing
been
one
keeping a
particularly
very close
bad one
eye on
offshore.
clouds and on the
But
radar.
from my measurements,
and we're seeing
that's like
lots of
right
clouds
around
sort
the
of
10-mile mark, maybe
develop
just
around
outside
us,
the 10-mile
develop
mark.
around us.
It's
Very, very
but
close
looking at the radar,
to the sort of threshold
I've been
there.
seeing one
And so
particularly bad one offshore.
There's still the cumulus cloud rule
but
beyond
from my measurements,
that,
that's
but
like right
around
we're
the
keeping an eye,
10-mile
like,
mark. Maybe just outside the 10-mile mark.
sort of right on the line,
It's
weather-wise.
very, very close
for this.
to
Maybe
the
it'll
sort of
clear up,
threshold
maybe it'll
there. And so
find that
there's still the cumulus
break through the
cloud rule
clouds,
beyond
but
that.
I know
but
Max and I are just
we're
repeatedly
keeping an eye,
refreshing,
like,
keeping close eyes on all the weather
stuff's
and trying to be
sort
ready
of
in
right
event
on
that
the
rain
line weather-wise
suddenly starts overhead
for this.
As
Maybe
has
it'll
so
clear up.
commonly been
Maybe
the
it'll
theme for the past 3 to 4
find
days.
that break through
Yeah,
the clouds.
the official
but
launch forecast, by the way,
I know
was
Max and I are
40%
just
favorable,
repeatedly
with concerns being the
refreshing, keeping
cumulus
close
cloud
eyes
rule,
on all the
Anvil
weather,
cloud rule,
and trying to be ready
lightning
in the
rule.
event that rain
Which
suddenly
brings me
starts
to a question
overhead.
that I saw in chat
As has
asking,
so commonly been the
which
theme
is
for the
more
past
of a
3 to 4
concern,
days.
rain or wind? Yeah, the official launch forecast,
guess
by the way,
Matt's
was it's
40
40% favorable, with concerns being the cumulus
Can
cloud
you,
rule, Anvil cloud
what was that,
rule,
Sawyer?
and
Sorry, I missed
lightning
it.
rule. It was. Which brings me to a question
which
that
is
I
more
saw
of a
in
concern,
chat
rain
asking,
or wind?
which
I
is
guess
more
they're
of
both
a different
different
concerns
rain
that are
or
still
wind.
pretty valid.
I mean,
I guess
I think
it's
in
kind
the
of both.
grander scheme of things, wind is a more prominent and more commonly
what was that, Sawyer? Sorry, I missed it.
known issue
It was
to track, and is obviously
which is more of a concern,
lot more common
rain
to
or
have around a
wind?
T0
I guess they're
than
both
rain is.
different concerns that are still
they can launch in the rain
valid.
if they really have to, so long as it, I believe, isn't obstructing any of their engineering camera views or isn't
wind is a more
interfering with the rocket telemetry or communications with ground tracking is obviously rain not so much an issue to have around a T0 is one of the more vulnerable rockets when it comes to winds. They can launch in the rain because if they really have to, so long as it, I believe, isn't obstructing any of their engineering camera views or it needs to come back interfering with the rocket's telemetry or on communications with ground LZ1, LZ2. Rain not so much an issue, but Falcon 9 is one of the more vulnerable rockets when it comes to winds. Because obviously,
I would say wind is a more prominent concern.
It needs to not only launch through the atmosphere, it needs to come back through it. Not rain is a byproduct of a system that is already giving off warnings for lightning and also wind as well. Hopefully soon to be LZ40 or LZ39A.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the key thing is that lightning risk. Being able to fly
I would say
through a
wind
cloud
is a more
and create
prominent
your own
concern.
lightning against
But
a
rain
rocket,
certainly
which
can be, but
can happen
I think
and has
more often
happened,
than not,
so that's
rain
always
is a
a concern.
byproduct of a system that is already giving off
Falcon
warnings
9
for
is
lightning
very
and
tall
also wind as well.
very skinny. While it probably do
that's
well
the
on
key
Tinder,
thing is
it
that
does not do
lightning
great
risk
with wind shear. Being able to fly through a cloud and create your own lightning against a rocket,
people
which
here,
can happen and has
John,
happened, so that's always
Mr.
a concern.
Coffee here saying the
And
J&J
yeah,
Coffee Shop is
Falcon
open.
9 is very tall.
I will
and
take
very skinny.
a
While it
bagel
probably do well
that
on Tinder,
is
it does not do
not
great
whatever
with wind
Jack
shear.
calls a
So,
bagel,
if you don't mind. Thank you very much. Let me thank some people here. We are coming up now
John,
on under 10
Mr. Coffee
minutes
here
to
saying
go
JJ
here.
Coffee Shop
is open.
D, what are we expecting
I will
in
take
these
final parts of the count. A bagel that is not whatever Jack
Yeah,
calls a
so
bagel, if you don't mind.
we
Thank
have
you
a
very
number
much.
of things we are expecting to see as they get
We are coming up now
closer
on
and
under
closer
10 minutes
to
to
the
go
launch here.
here.
Of course, if we
D,
can
what are
bring
we
that
expecting in these
timeline up
final
once
parts
again.
of the count now?
Yeah, so we have a number of things we are expecting to see as engine chill down around the 8-minute mark as they get closer here. And closer. Of course, if we can bring that timeline up once again.
Carson, we got you. There we go.
There will be the engine chill down around a minute and a half away from the start as they get closer and closer. And then in about 5 minutes, that'll be
Carson,
the completion of stage 1
there
LOX load. And then a bit later, that's when we will see the stage 2 LOX load actually complete. About a minute and a half around away from the start second mark is the sort of transition to internal power. In about 5 minutes, that'll be around the completion of stage 1 LOX load. And then a 1 minute mark, and the final go for launch stage 2 LOX load actually complete. Around the 90-second mark is the sort of transition to internal power.
In about
Falcon
a
9
minute,
startup around the
that engine chill, Alex, is pretty important.
1 minute mark, and the final go for launch.
Yeah, otherwise
at
you're
less
going to have
than a minute
some
to
serious
launch.
problems there.
Yeah,
There we go.
What? You don't want
So
engines
keep an eye out
cracking or
for
anything
that
from
engine
the
chill
in
the
about
shock
a
and the
minute. Temperature changes and all of
that
that.
engine chill, Alex, is pretty important.
Exactly. That will be a very bad day otherwise for your you're going to have some serious problems needs to have any. Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
what? You don't want
A
engines
chauffeur
cracking or
gravitas out
anything
there
from
in the
the
ocean.
the shock and the
But yeah,
temperature
the whole
changes
deal with
and
that,
all of that.
just like the T-minus 20-minute event, right?
Exactly.
You have
Yeah,
cold.
that will be a
fluids
very
flowing
bad day
through
for
it.
your
You don't
engines
want to
or
shop
anything
that with
in general that
needs to
fluid
have
and things
any.
like that. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
nice.
Yep,
a chauffeur
Max
gravitas
D,
out
I
there
know
in the
you
ocean.
guys need to get everything set up with your
But
cameras.
yeah, the whole
and,
deal with
we
that,
will
just
talk
like
to you
the
in
T-minus
just a little
20-minute
bit.
event, right? You have cold.
Indeed. Thank you very much, everybody. And
fluids
we
flowing
will
through
see
it.
you
don't
on the
want to
either
shop
side,
that with
either of launch
that
or
fluid
of the
and
dreaded
things like that.
S-word.
So yeah.
Well, let's hope we
Yep,
get a launch.
Max D, I know
and,
you guys need to
hats
get
off to
everything
you
set up
guys.
with your cameras.
And we will
Thank
talk
you,
to
Alex.
you in just
Hats
a little
off
bit.
to the field team here, and in particular
Indeed.
the
Thank
new
you very
trucker
much,
hats that
everybody.
we have
And
at
we will see you on the either side, either of launch
Awesome
or
new
of the
designs.
dreaded
These
S-word.
just released a couple days ago,
Well,
or
let's
within
hope
the
we get
last
a launch.
24 hours, essentially.
And,
we
hats
now
off
have
to you
trucker
guys.
hats, so if you like the trucker cap
Thank
style
you,
with the
Alex.
wider brims
Hats
and all
off to
that,
the field
bunch
team
of
here, in
different
particular
designs,
the new
NSF
trucker
logo,
hats that we have
got
at Shop.
heavy ones, which
NASASpaceflight.com.
again, technically
technically kind of applies to this one, given that it is a Falcon Heavy Center core flying as a single-stick Falcon 9. We now have trucker hats today, so if you like the trucker cap style with the wider brims and all that, bunch of different designs, available now at NASASpaceflight Heavy ones, which along with again technically kind of applies to this one, given that it is a Falcon Heavy Center core flying as a single-stick Falcon 9, so very appropriate for today. Of course, all of the live logos, those clouds tank watchers, look a little all available so now at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. To this along with our awesome summer collection and our new lighter until launch as well. And a reminder for those who are just kind of joining as we discuss that Falcon Heavy Center Core thing. This is a very unique booster. Those clouds look a little eerie, but so far everything is proceeding.
Yeah, it is
up to this point.
Falcon Heavy Center Core
6 minutes
dressed
to go
in
now
Falcon 9
until
booster.
launch.
So it's got,
and a reminder for those who are just kind of joining as we discuss that Falcon Heavy Center Core thing. This is a very unique booster in B1091.
Interstage,
right, Alex?
For a Falcon 9, so it's going to be flying as a Falcon 9 Heavy Center Core, and this is dressed first launch in Falcon 9 booster. We expect that it's going to be flying in this configuration for a little section bit. Is the one for Falcon Heavy Center Core, and then it'll be got the octaweb sort of converted into a Falcon Heavy Center Core a Falcon 9, future so mission. It's going to be flying heavy as a Falcon 9 booster. And this is its first launch for that.
So
we expect
if you
that
want to see
it's going to be flying in this configuration for a little bit.
And want to try and take a look,
essentially.
This is going
and then
into
it'll be
northeastern
sort of converted into a Falcon Heavy,
kind of similar to what we're
a
used
future
to
mission
for
on
Starlink, but slightly different. This one will be 51.9 degree if you want to see it fly, though, ride its way outside and want to try and take a look, you are along the East Coast, going into might as well head outside and try and take a look if you have clear skies. Kind of similar to what we're used to seeing for Starlink, but slightly different. Back, retract. This one will be able to see kind of the 9-degree inclination, so it will ride its way the payload up the East Coast there. So if you are along the East Coast, it will lean back. Might as well head outside and try and take a look if you have clear skies. And then we'll completely throw back before. And at this point, they're getting ready for right strong back retract.
I love this view from the Caraxes Tower.
Clamps unfold because you can see all the Starship work going on too. Payload fairings there.
What Starship work?
And then it
this
will
is
lean
like
back
40.
1.8 degrees. I'm sorry, I'm used to seeing throw back. You mentioned Crew Tower, my mind goes to 39.
But it's the same view, right? So that's why you said that. I love this view from the Caraxes Tower.
Yeah, 39A. We just because you can see all the Starship work going on too.
But I like it anyways because you can see the rocket this is like 40, so that's always nice.
I'm sorry, I'm used to seeing the tank from there. And you mentioned Crew Tower, my mind goes to 39A.
But it's the same view, right? So that's why you said that. Yeah, I get you. One on the left, if I'm not mistaken.
Anyway,
yeah, the one on the left has flown already 27 times. It'll be its 28th flight, and the one on the right is flying for the 5th time on this flight.
Previously flown fairing halves. We do know that. Yeah, the active and the passive fairing halves.
The one on the
pushes
left,
and the one that
if
gets
I'm not
pushed
mistaken,
as they
the one on the left
Something we probably
already
will not
27
see
times.
on this
It'll be
stream
its 28th
because
flight,
Amazon is
and the one on the right is flying for the 5th time on this
seeing
flight.
their satellites. So usually at the active and the passive fairing halves, do not show the one that pushes inside the fairing pushed as once they separate away. Something we probably will not see on this stream 3 minutes to go. What is the timeline left, Alex, for wrapping up propellant loads here? Seeing their satellites.
Yeah, so they should be wrapping up liquid oxygen load on the first stage, roughly at this time. It looks like it's raining now at the pad.
Deploy.
I just saw a few droplets of that on the camera.
3 minutes to go. What is the timeline left, Alex, for wrapping up propellant loads here?
They have the liquid oxygen load completion.
Yeah, so they should
on the
be
first
wrapping
stage.
up
I just heard a call out for that, by the way.
First stage,
so that's complete.
Roughly at this
the second
time.
stage,
It
looks
looks
like
like
it's
it's
raining now at the pad.
seconds from now.
Usually a T-minus 2 minutes.
I just saw a few droplets of that on the
launch.
camera.
We will have
so
the
yeah,
Stromback vents
T-minus
coming back
3 minutes.
as they clear out of the lines
liquid
ahead of
oxygen
liftoff.
And
on the first
then
stage,
at
I just heard a call out for that, by the way.
into
So that's complete.
That is when the
second stage
will be wrapping
take over
up
control of the countdown
seconds from now.
Usually a T-minus 2
from
minutes
the ground computers
to launch.
So
we'll have
hopefully
the
we'll
Stromback
get
vents
a go
coming
for
back
launch
as
from
they
the
clear
launch
out of
reactor
the
at
lines
T-minus 45
ahead of
seconds.
liftoff. And then at T-minus
That is
1
what we're
minute,
gonna hope
they'll
for
go
here.
into startup.
And
That
again,
is when the onboard
once
computers
all of the
take over control of the
propellants are
countdown.
fully loaded in, you'll be able
from
to
the ground computers,
see it as they
so
do a final purge
hopefully
of the
we'll
lines
get a go for
on
launch
the Strongback
launch
with
reactor at
a
T-minus
vent
45
very
seconds.
similar to that one that
There
we
it is.
see That is what we're going to hope for here. 20-minute, 20-second mark. Once this one's slightly different, so with that, propellants are fully loaded, we have a fully fueled Falcon 9 out on the launch pad as they do a final purge of the lines. So next up, as Alex, you were pointing out, a vent very similar to that one that the onboard computers take control of the count at 20 seconds, 1 minute mark. But this one's slightly different. So with that, entering startup, that means we have a fully fueled Falcon 9 the tanks on the launch pressurized up to flight levels. And so next up, as Alex, you were pointing out, we will hopefully have go for launch. The onboard computers gas closeout control of the count at T-minus 1 minute. That is all that Falcon 9 entering startup. It is now raining. Also, when at tanks 40 pressurized up to flight levels. This is going to be interesting. We'll see. Hopefully, we get once Falcon 9 enters startup, if they proceed from here. Gas closeout's done. So 1 minute to go, Falcon 9 entering startup again. It is now raining. Cameras are slightly ahead of SpaceX's. There's a latency there, so that's why their clock and our clock are usually off by a couple seconds. Once Falcon 9 enters startup, if they proceed from here. This is where they would give the go for launch. So 1 minute to go, Falcon 9 entering startup again. Our cameras are slightly ahead of SpaceX's. There's the latency there, so that's why their clock and our clock are usually off by a couple seconds.
Come on, launch reactor.
And this is where they would give the go. And there it is. There's the holds.
At T-minus 1 minute, Falcon 9 is in startup.
Yeah, the flight through precipitation rule, I think, coming into play here, as it is raining at 40.
I think it just hurt. Come on, launch reactor.
All right, team.
And there it is. There's the holds.
Let's go ahead and proceed into the non-cruise section.
Yeah, the flight through precipitation rule, I think, coming into play here, as it is raining at 40.
I think it just heard that.
Alright, team, that was a
also, I just noticed that on their live streams they have the little pause symbol next to the clock.
Non-crude scrub section of procedure 1.160.
And of course, there comes the sun. And yes, as noting, this was the end of the window as well. Once they begin fueling, they're committed to a T0 anyway, on their live streams they have the little pause symbol. Yeah, this was the last chance they had in the window regardless, so with that is... And of course, there comes the sun, and... Our least favorite word as noting, here. This was now the end of the window as well. Once they begin fueling, they're committed to a T0 anyway, but... picked up right at this was the last chance they had in the window regardless, so with that is... there.
Really, the last few minutes, like I talked about,
the
close out of propellant on the first stage and whatnot.
Shame,
and I said, I'm seeing
how much
some
the
drops
picked up
on the camera.
Right at
look
T0.
At that's from the press side.
The D hopefully staying dry out there. We are now working
really,
the
last few minutes, like
undercover.
I talked about, the close out of propellant on the first stage and whatnot. And then I said, I'm seeing some drops
of rain
on the camera. And
right
look
at
that.
The pad now.
That's from the press side.
That is so ominous, but right now that is the result of the scrub today. Undercover, was also cameras protected and out of the rain. The result of the scrub today. Wow! Look at that sheet of rain. Is the return of right scrub pad now. This mission's going to give you a lot of chances. It seems like to get the result of the scrub today. Scrub exclusive merch that only happens when we are unable to have launch, but we have the stream running. Is the return? That's why we have scrub merch. I watched the entire stream and all I got was a Falcon 9 scrub edition. This mission's going to give you a lot of chances. It seems like to get the scrub exclusive merch scrub that only happens when we, which very accurate minus are unable to have a launch, but we have the stream running. For all of us here now, with that's why we have the. I watched the entire stream and all I got was a Falcon 9 scrub edition. That is available for a very limited time. You can see there. We've got the banner going. That is only which 6 very hours to grab the shirt. So if you want to grab it now, or else it is for all of us here now with these early morning until the next scrub, which hasn't been many of them lately. So not a lot of chances to grab them. Available for a very limited time. You can see there. We've got the banner going. Hate to point it out only 6 hours to grab the shirt. So if you want to grab it now, or else it is the scrub merch. Meaning we did have a scrub until the next scrub, which hasn't been many of them lately. So look at not a lot of chances to grab them. Shop.nasa. What are we looking at for future launch opportunities, Alex? Hate to point it out that it is there.
I assume that they're going to have another one tomorrow.
The scrub merch meeting.
Of course, that'll depend on payload and vehicle readiness, I guess, and also
what are we looking at for
depend
future
on
launch opportunities,
whatever
Alex?
condition the weather is in Tomorrow, if it is I assume that they're gonna have another one tomorrow. Look at that. Of course, it is as bad as today. Depend on it probably will not go. Payload and I think vehicle readiness, I guess, and also window opens a little bit earlier. If I'm not mistaken, whatever condition, it should be about 20 minutes tomorrow, earlier. If it is just as yeah, it doesn't say yet on the website, but today, it'll reflect that soon, I guess. You can find that out on Spaceflight. Window opens as soon as we get a new earlier. If I'm not mistaken, we'll update the website. It should be about 20 minutes earlier. There you go. Yeah, it doesn't say yet on the website, but it'll.
So right now,
it'll reflect that soon, I guess. You can find that out on Spaceflight.
And it is worth noting. Thank you to
as soon as
Julie
we
in
get
the
a
back
new
channel
T0,
pointing out
we'll
that
update the website for that as well.
Space Coast is in a flood advisory for this entire weekend here. So the weather can be quite iffy. The official forecast
torrential
is,
downpour, and it is worth noting. Thank you to Julie in the back channel pointing out
tomorrow
that
from
the 45th Weather Squadron.
Space Coast is in a flood advisory
being for
the exact same
this
ones
entire
as today.
weekend here.
Cloud
so
roll, the weather can be quite iffy. The official forecast is 50% favorable
team
for
out in the
field
tomorrow.
From the 45th I'm gonna guess you guys are working on cleaning up the cameras. So
being
the exact same ones as today.
The cumulus
they've
cloud
got the
roll,
water now.
the anvil cloud rules, and the
to clean the cameras.
rule.
Anyways,
oh goodness, our team out in the field.
Anyway,
I'm gonna guess you guys are working on
cleaning up
these
cameras,
Kuiper satellites.
so
do not want to go.
let you guys do that. But
they've got the water
if they
now.
keep delaying, they might avoid all of these rains.
To clean the cameras. Anyways,
I mean, yeah, that is
it
true.
goes back.
Exactly. I mean,
Anyway,
we'll see what ends up happening with that.
a
but
while
already.
these
These
Kuiper
Kuiper
satellites
do not want to
coming
go.
in.
Mark saying
But,
because
Hey,
when
if they keep
scrub
delaying,
happens,
they
I
might
already have both
avoid all of
shirts.
these
May as well
rains.
complete the collection. Getting the poster version.
That is
Because it
true.
goes back.
Thank you for that. We really
Exactly.
appreciate it.
I mean, we'll see what ends up happening with
in
that.
terms
but
of
already the
when
scrub
they go
shirts
for the next attempts
coming in
and
everything
Mark
going on
saying
with it. Of
because
course, you can
scrub
also, in addition to
happens,
next
I
space
already
flight
have
follow
both
shirts,
NSF
may as well
on all
complete
of
the
our
collection,
socials,
getting the
X,
poster
Facebook,
version
Instagram
as well.
Thank you for that.
Blue Sky,
We really
all of your
appreciate
favorite ones there. We are on them. And of course, we'll
in
keep
terms
you
of,
updated
when they
on
go
them
for the next
as we learn
attempts
more about
and,
launch dates,
everything
everything
going
going
on
on
with it. Of course,
notifications
you can
for
also,
when we go
in
live.
addition to next space flight,
Meantime,
follow
Alex, thank you for
NSF
joining
on
me
all
on
of our
commentary
socials,
today.
X, Facebook, Instagram.
It's been a pleasure as usual, and hopefully,
Blue Sky, all of your favorite ones there. We are on them, and of course, we'll keep you updated on them. I guess, and learn more about
shout
launch
out
dates,
to the
times,
team in
and
the field
notifications for
who
when we
are
go live. Now out in the rain.
Meantime, Alex, thank you for
joining me on commentary
Max
today.
Evans out in the field.
it's been a pleasure as usual, and
then
hopefully,
DY's also out in the
third time's
field.
the charm.
Thank you to
I
both of
guess.
you
We'll see.
for rolling out again, I guess, and a huge shout out to the team
get rained on at the last
who are now out in the rain. And of course, Max Evans,
to
Carson in the field. all at the same time like that. Don't forget, we also have the Crew 10 splashdown coming up. We will not be streaming that, but you can bet there will be posts for today's launch
when that does
attempt. We will see you back here for the next out in the weather. Again, it's crazy Florida because it's sun and torrential downpours all at the same time. Thank you to both of you for that. I am Sawyer Rosenstein, and I've been your host for today's launch attempt. We will see you back here.
Volts to go. Our chamber pressure looks good.
Rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The method would be a flare, correct?
ප්‍රතිකින්ද පැනික් වෙලා හිටියද හෝල්ට් එකට එනකොට බස් එක පිරිලාද ඔෆිස් යද්දි ලේට් වෙන හින්දම වර්ක්ලෝඩ් එක දැන් හොඳටම පිරිලාද අතේ ඇති ගානට ටක් ටක් ගාලා යන්න ටක් ගාලා බුක් කරගන්න පික් මී බයි ටක් ටක් ගාලා